That. Welcome. Day one. Day one is here. I am so excited. I'm always excited to come and talk about food freedom and talk about what's possible when you're no longer dieting. So we have this 3-day event. Today we are kicking off day one. If you are catching the replay here in the group, you can always just leave the word replay in the comments, say hello, participate that way. If you're here live, of course, well, come say hi. Hop into the comments and say hello. Super grateful that you're here. It has been a crazy long day for me, but I feel like it's been that way because I've just been waiting to get to this moment today. So a little bit of housekeeping. If you are part of this event, you signed up, you put your name and your email, and you didn't get an email, please contact me. You can do that in the comments here. You can DM me here on Facebook. So I want to make sure, hi, Angela. I want to make sure you get the daily emails that I've put together for you, and the work, the reflection work that's in there is really going to be helpful as we go through these few days. If you're watching this and you're not part of it, but you're like, how do I join? I did put it in the description, but it's simply just head to www.theintuitiveatingmama.com/resolution, and you can sign up and join. There is an archive page. You saw that in your email that has everything. So if you happen to miss one of the lives, you want to go back and listen to something, you'll have that link every day in your email, and you can just hop on there. I know we all live these, busy lives. So I totally understand. And you might just want to re-listen to something. Tonight, I have some even journaling that you can do, and you might want to come back to it. I'm going to tell you, literally 10 minutes before I came on here, my eyes got so itchy. So I apologize. I have my tissue here if I'm like crying while we're talking about this. It seems fitting, but my eyes decided it was the left one, and now the right one is starting. I don't know what's going on, but nothing's going to stop me tonight. Anyway, let's dive into day one. In your email, we were talking about a diet timeline. And I acknowledge without a doubt that this is not an easy exercise. This is not something I would, recommend we're doing, all the time by ourselves. And that's why I wanted to put it here in the event, because it can be very emotional. And emotional meaning maybe sad, maybe feelings where just sort of an overwhelm of, I cannot believe I've been doing this for so long. But what I've also experienced with a lot of my clients is the other emotion is anger, like frustration, like just mad that this started, this is where I am. I don't know which side is up. So if you fall on any of those places, doing that diet timeline, you are not alone. In fact, I actually believe you're in really, really good company. I've been there, and this exercise for me was, it was definitely overwhelming because, of course, it started at 17 years old. And for me, starting at 17, it just kept going into my 30s. I had a client once who was sharing with me, it started at 8, and this exercise was a lot. So in your email, I kind of gave you that opportunity to kind of look at your own timeline. And the reason I do this exercise, and that I believe that there's power behind this, is you don't need anyone else to tell you diets don't work. You have your own data. You are your own proof that diets don't work. So I want you to hold on to that truth, because no matter what, if you've been dieting for a year or for 20 years, you can see it's the diets that don't work. And I am very aware diet culture knows this, and they try to market to manipulate that fact. Like they're not even hiding it anymore. I feel like growing up with the 80s and the 90s, it was sneaky. I don't know. It feels like it's just so obvious these days. But maybe it's more obvious because I've called out the bull. I've called it out and I see it and I can't unsee it. So this exercise can even help in that respect where you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. So anyway, I gave you this exercise. And then we talked about in our post today, what might be positively impacted if you no longer gave your time and energy to diet culture. There's some beautiful things coming from that. So if you haven't had a chance to comment on that post, you can do that. Maybe you're just kind of quietly taking that in, internalizing that, journaling it. And I want to add on to that tonight. I want to give you some reflection to do. And it's, again, everything's optional, but I think if you're really trying to set this year up as the year, not just without a diet, but where you really do focus on your health and well-being, these exercises, even the journaling, even if you just use it for thought, here and now, and then maybe you listen to it again and just kind of think about it. It's all for a purpose to help you get to that place. So when you are reflecting on dieting, I have some like just general, if you will, like journaling you can do. I'm going to put the tissue down. We'll see if the eyes can handle this. So if you want to jot these down, if you're a journaler, or maybe you're not really a journaler, but you want to give it a try for this because you've done the timeline or you're going to do the timeline and you want to dig a little bit deeper. So just looking at your timeline, whether again, that's 1 year, 2 years, 20, 25, whatever that looks like for you, take a moment to reflect on how has dieting affected your social life? And even if you just think for a moment what that might include, I mean, mom's night out, looking at menus, not even feeling like going out because of food, how you feel about your body. Like, how has dieting affected your social life? If you feel like you want to share, please know the comments are available. I just ask you be respectful of one another, and that this is a really safe space I like to create. So I just want you to keep that in mind. But even if you're watching the replay, you are absolutely welcome to comment, but you can take these down and do some journaling now or later. The second question you can journal about to reflect: how has dieting affected your eating behavior? And what that could mean is, do you say no to foods you love? Do you feel like you aren't hungry in the morning, but all you want to do at the end of the day is eat everything and you never feel satisfied? Has it affected your eating behavior where you really experience a lot of guilt after eating all the time? Are you putting off hunger? How has it affected your eating behavior? Do you notice you eat beyond fullness, like you feel uncomfortable often? That's not because of you. That's what dieting can do and the patterns that it creates. So social life, eating behavior. Now I want you to take a look at how has dieting affected your mind and your mood. Those are two different areas, I think, very deeply related. But how has it affected your mind, your thoughts about your body, your thoughts about food, your thoughts about, again, your thoughts about, going out to eat or being around other people when it comes to food? Angela says, definitely guilt. Even when I'm not on a diet, I still have that guilt, right? Because it gets so ingrained. And I would say definitely this is that mind and mood part as well, right? That it really impacts us, not just in the moments, but in the long term. Yes. So how has it affected your mood? Like, how do you really feel because of the years, the timeline of dieting? Like your mood in general, your mood around food, your mood around eating, your mood, how you feel about yourself. This is the impact dieting has. One of the other things I jotted down that I think is a great place of reflection, and it's a deeper one to go. So if you're like, ooh, woo, that one's a lot to unpack. I'm not saying any of these are easy to unpack in this one moment, but they're a good start. But this one, I think is a big question to consider, when we're kind of looking at that timeline and unpacking this and digging a little bit deeper this year. Why do we start dieting in the first place? What messages have we believed about our body? I mean, if you did the timeline and you could go back to that first one, if you could get yourself somewhere in that vicinity and really think like, why did I start that? I know why I started. I was called Thunder Thighs. I always found my body was bigger than everybody else's, even if that wasn't truth and fact. It felt true to me. And the message is, I was not Cindy Crawford. I mean, I'm probably going to put myself out there, I can date myself, right? I was not. I'm never going to be. I don't have her legs. I'm pretty sure her legs are the size, like the size of my body. I'm 5'1" on a good day, but I wasn't. And my thighs, like it was just this focus. So I thought, restrict, don't eat as much. Stop eating so much. If you eat less, maybe your thighs won't be so big. And when I went back on that timeline and I got back there, that's actually where like all of these thoughts about Thunder Thighs, that nickname that I was given, it was supposed to be affectionate. It was not. It really had this deep impact on me and led to the start of my timeline of dieting. So when you think about that question, it is a big one to consider, but why do we start dieting? Are there messages you've believed about your body? And really that one, again, if we're doing journaling, or maybe we're just doing some thoughts, like we're just going to sit with this and let this one kind of roll over too. We've looked at all of these areas that diets affect, but why do we start in the first place? Like I still have this physical reaction like, ooh, yeah. Because what I hear from a lot of women is, oh man, what would life be like if I hadn't at all? Like if I didn't believe all that, I'd never started the first one. And I get that because I've had the same thought. I've had that same thought, like, what if I never started? And what I love is my kids, they're out there, that door. What I love is being able to impart that way, right? Like it didn't happen for me, but it stopped here. It stopped here. And I watch how they are around food, how they talk about their body, which isn't very often, which is fine because they're not consumed with all these thoughts about it. They're not sitting there overwhelmed by every, bite that they're having or when they're hungry. It's amazing. But I really did start thinking about that when I looked at my own timeline, like, why did I start there? Oh, it hit hard. So again, adding on to that exercise. Now, if you will, take all of your diet history, right? The impact that it's had on your weight, on your eating behavior, on your social life, your mental state, like we're saying, this guilt part even, your emotional well-being, and really consider what would be some reasons for you to let go of dieting once and for all. Now, I hear the argument, of course, and this is what we're really combating here, is if I'm not dieting, I'm not focused on my health, and it's just not true. Those are not synonyms. I don't care what dictionary diet culture is created here. Those are not synonymous. They are not synonymous. Weight loss is not synonymous with health. Dieting is not synonymous with health. If anything, dieting is an antonym. My teacher in me is coming out. Like it is not about health. So what would be some reasons to let go of dieting once and for all? Like why? Like when we dug deep, right? And we went into the why I started. We look at that timeline, why stop? And if you've done some work and really looked at those areas that diets have affected, social life, your weight, you could talk about your metabolism, how you feel around food, how you feel about yourself, like all of those things. What are some reasons to let go of dieting once and for all? Now, I want to make sure I put like a mark here to say, I know that sometimes it's not just our own thoughts that get in the way of saying I'm done. It's the outside pressure, right? And the outside pressure could be society at large, which it is, but it could also be our home. It could be our family. It could be our close people, our coworkers, right? It could be all of that. And I'm telling you, tomorrow we're going to address that. Tomorrow we're going to address boundaries. We have to, because the moment we say, I'm done, usually you hear, well, how are you going to focus on your health? You should be focused on your health. Aren't you focused on your health? Because we are really inundated with those messages that health and weight are the same, and they're not. Okay. Now, the last exercise I want to give you as an optional thing that you can do, because you might even be part of this, but also like, I am so done. Like it's not even a question for me. So I often find that when we've kind of done this work, we could be still left with diet clutter, right? Literally cluttering up our life, our home. Some of it we've intentionally let in. Maybe, for me, like I had, these protein things that I was having when I was obsessively working out. A certain gym membership was clutter for me. Certain merch items like that. Some of it we intentionally brought in. There was a lot of cookbooks, y'all. I just got rid of so many cookbooks. I wasn't using them, but I went through this exercise myself again. I'm just kind of always like, wait a minute, why do I have those here? Some of it just found its way into our space. Some of it was gifted to us, or it's just there, or it's people that are in our life. Sometimes we go and follow somebody because maybe they have this amazing craft business. And then all of a sudden they're talking about this weight loss and posting their weight. And you're just like, wait a minute, what? I wanted to come here for the cute thing. So 2 areas that you can start addressing today when you're looking at the clutter that diet maybe has still kind of kept its way in there is your home. Like I said, cookbooks, merch, those kind of things in there, and social media. One of the things I share with my clients is kind of like a detox. It's a social media detox that they do. I just had a client from our last group. She said to me, it took a little while, but Instagram seems to be figuring it out that she's done with all of this diet nonsense. She doesn't want to hear it. And what she's getting are messages that are more in line with what is best for her health and overall well-being. So taking out any remnants of diet culture, like I said, maybe it's diet books, maybe it is merchandise, but it could be specific to you, something that's really triggering to you that keeps calling you back there. One thing I heard from someone was they had containers. Now they just used them as Tupperware, but they were used for portioning. I think they did Beachbody or something like that. Or Whole30. I don't know. One of them had these portioning and they were like, you know what? Every time I see these, like I'm triggered. Like I go back to that feeling. I feel bad about myself. Well, should I start this again? And they're like, I just finally got rid of everything, donated a bunch of stuff, got rid of what I need to, and they got it out. And they literally said it felt like the final like letting go. So it could be in your home. And again, it might be in social media. Now, I am if you've known me for a while, like I'm a really kind, welcoming, like I love people. I love their stories. Like I love just being part of other people's communities, and Facebook and Instagram, they, can definitely create that. I mean, so can TikTok, I suppose, but that's just a black hole. So I'm not going to go there right now. But they do give the option to not leave completely, but they mute, right? Like, I don't want to see these posts. I think on Facebook, it always tells me like I can mute somebody for 30 days, or I can just turn off seeing their stuff in my feed. And then on Instagram, I can mute posts and stories. And I'm not unfollowing people that I care about, but I'm like, y'all, stop talking, all this negative stuff about body. Stop talking about this next diet trend. Stop talking about how you're eating keto now. Like, I can't listen to this. because I need to protect myself, my mind, my mood, my emotional well-being. I am healing my relationship with food, and that actually is really triggering, not the person, but what they're sharing. Now, if it's somebody you don't know and you're just like, what am I doing here? The great unfollow might happen, but there's also this option to just mute for now. Doesn't mean forever, but just, this is too much for me. There are some people who I know, like all social media was triggering, and they just said, done, gone, adios, and they left. That's an option too. Not one that I'm going to do, because I want to create a space where I can be one of those people, right, in your social media feed that you're like, oh, good. Not talking about the next diet trend or, hating bodies, but in fact, the total opposite of all of that. So here's some exercises. If you happen to hop on later and you want to watch the replay, of course, it's here in the group and it will be here until Saturday. Yes, I think it's Saturday. I will have everything in here, but it's also in the archive. It's on the archive. And if you're on the email list for this event, then you have access to the archive for the entire event until Saturday as well. But on here, I just gave you some journal entries you could do and really look at the different areas that diets over the years have affected: social life, eating behavior, mind and mood. And then if you want to go there and look a little deeper into why do we start diets in the first place? Like, what that first one. And I shared, of course, personally, for me, being called Thunder Thighs, and that being such a focus area for me for years, and why I started dieting in the first place. And then, of course, we looked at the other end of that spectrum saying, okay, I'm done, and all the reasons to let go of dieting once and for all. And then, of course, I just finished up sharing about clearing out the clutter. What's really great is it is January, and I don't think you need like January 1st to like start fresh, or you have to have some new great beginning. But it is a beautiful thing. It's kind of like spring cleaning feels the same way, when you're just like, oh, get rid of all of this, spring is here. I think January gives the opportunity to say, this doesn't serve me anymore. Like, this really is having a negative impact, and I'm going to let it go. Okay, so this is day one. And as I mentioned in here, I am very aware the moment you do this, the opinions come out, the food police are everywhere, right? So we're going to talk about boundaries on day two. If you want to join, you still can sign up. You can still get all the emails, be part of this, to get the other part of the work other than what we're doing here live. I am excited. I hope you are too. If you have questions, if you want to expand on something, if you want to kind of clarify anything, please don't hesitate to reach out, whether it's in the comments here, or you can reach out via DM, or you can always reply to one of the daily emails. I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful that you said, I'm done, but what do I do next? And we're figuring that out. And by day 3, I can't wait to be doing some goal setting. All right, I will see you in the email tomorrow, and right here, same bat time, same bat place, right here in this group for day 2. All right, bye ladies.